respected, there comes a moment in every life when you realize that working harder is no longer the answer, that effort without alignment keeps you stuck, and that the real prison holding back your income has been living quietly inside your own mind. Let me begin by asking you something deeply personal, something most people are afraid to face. How many times have you told yourself you want more money, more freedom, more security for your family, yet your results keep circling back to the same number, the same struggle, the same ceiling? You hustle, you try, you push, but somehow life keeps pressing a reset button. That's not because you're broken, it's not because you're lazy, and it's not because the world is unfair. It's because your brain is doing exactly what it has been trained to do. Most people think income is about intelligence, education, luck, or connections. But income is a reflection of identity. It is a mirror of what your brain believes is safe, familiar, and deserved. Your brain's number one job is not to make you rich. Its job is to keep you alive and comfortable with what it knows. And comfort, even when it's painful, feels safer than the unknown. I remember hearing a story about a man who won a large sum of money overnight. For a few months, everything looked perfect. New house, new car, new confidence. But within a few years, he was right back where he started, sometimes even worse. People shake their heads and say he was irresponsible. But the truth is, his brain was never upgraded to match his new income. His internal wiring pulled him back to what felt normal. Your income will always follow your internal thermostat. You can force it higher for a while, but if your brain believes you are a certain type of person, it will unconsciously sabotage anything that threatens that identity. That's why some people seem to rise effortlessly, while others struggle endlessly doing the same work. Think about this quietly. What did you hear about money growing up? Was it stressful? Was it scarce? Did you hear arguments, fear, guilt, or shame around it? Did you hear that rich people are greedy, that money changes people, that you must suffer to earn? Those ideas didn't just pass through your ears. They were absorbed into your nervous system. They became emotional memories. And emotional memories drive behavior far more than logic ever will. Your brain is a prediction machine. It predicts what you think you deserve, what you think is possible, and how much you think you can handle. Then it guides your actions to confirm those predictions. That's why two people can read the same book, attend the same seminar, or watch the same video, yet only one truly changes their income. One rewires their brain, the other collects information and stays the same. Information alone does not change income. Insight does not change income. Repetition does not change income. Identity changes income. There was a time in my own life when I worked harder than everyone around me, yet earned less. I blamed the economy. I blamed my background. I blamed timing. But the real issue was this. Deep down, my brain did not believe I was the kind of person who could consistently earn more. So every time an opportunity appeared, I hesitated. Every time success knocked, I second-guessed myself. Every time growth required discomfort, my brain whispered, "This is risky. Go back to what you know." And here's the painful truth most people never hear. Your brain does not care about your dreams. It cares about familiarity. That's why you can want change and still resist it. That's why you can visualize success and still self-sabotage. That's why you can say you want abundance while your actions quietly protect scarcity. Change begins the moment you stop trying to fix your income and start upgrading your inner programming. Because money does not come to those who want it. Money comes to those whose brains are wired to receive it, manage it, and keep it without fear. If you've ever wondered why motivation fades, why discipline feels exhausting, why confidence comes and goes, it's because willpower is weak compared to conditioning. Your habits are not random. Your income patterns are not accidental. They are the result of neural pathways built through years of repetition, emotion, and belief. But here's the most important part, and I want you to really hear this. If your brain learned these patterns, it can unlearn them. If it was wired one way, it can be rewired another. You are not stuck. You are trained. And training can change. Every level of income requires a different version of you. Not a harder working you, a differently wired you. Someone who thinks differently under pressure. Someone who responds differently to opportunity. Someone whose brain associates growth with safety instead of fear. The moment you begin to change how your brain perceives money, effort, and self-worth, something incredible happens. Opportunities you once ignored become obvious. Decisions you once feared feel natural. Actions you once delayed feel urgent. Not because the world changed, but because you did. This is not about positive thinking. It's about neurological alignment. It's about teaching your brain that more income does not mean more danger. More responsibility does not mean more pain, and success does not mean losing yourself. As we go deeper, you'll begin to see that the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not measured in years or luck. It's measured in beliefs, emotional conditioning, and subconscious expectations. And once those change, income follows like a shadow. So, take a breath. Let go of the idea that you are behind. You are not late. You are right on time for the moment when awareness begins. Because awareness is the first crack in the old pattern. And through that crack, a completely new future can begin to form. The moment you become aware that your income is shaped from the inside out, something shifts. You stop chasing money like it's outside of you, and you start understanding that money responds to who you are being. And who you are being is largely directed by patterns running quietly beneath your awareness. Your brain is constantly asking one question: what feels safe? Not what is logical, not what is possible, what feels safe. And safety is defined by repetition. Whatever you have experienced, over and over, become your brain's comfort zone, even if that comfort zone includes stress, debt, or constant struggle. This is why some people panic when things start going well. They suddenly procrastinate, miss opportunities, make poor decisions, or create drama. From the outside, it looks irrational. From the brain's perspective, it's protection. Success feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels dangerous. There's a powerful principle that explains this. Your brain will always move you toward what it believes you deserve, not what you want, what you believe you deserve. And that belief was formed long before you were conscious enough to question it. Think back to moments when you tried to earn more, ask for more, charge more, or step into a bigger version of yourself. Did you feel a tightness in your chest, a voice of doubt, a sudden urge to delay or distract yourself? That wasn't weakness. That was your nervous system reacting to a perceived threat. Your brain links income with identity. If earning more money feels like becoming someone you don't recognize, your brain will resist. If success feels like separation from your past, your family, or your roots, your brain will resist. If abundance feels like pressure, responsibility, or judgment, your brain will resist. This is why affirmations don't work for most people. You can say, I am wealthy 1,000 times, but if your emotional brain associates wealth with fear or guilt, the affirmation creates internal conflict instead of change. The brain always listens more to emotion than to words. Real change begins when you recondition emotional responses, when you teach your brain through experience and repetition that growth is safe, that earning more does not threaten who you are, and that success can coexist with peace. Let me share something deeply important. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you focus on, what you repeat, and what you emotionally react to. This is called neuroplasticity. It means you are not fixed, you are adaptable. But adaptation happens automatically, not intentionally, unless you take control. Every time you stress about money, you reinforce scarcity. Every time you avoid looking at your finances, you strengthen fear. Every time you tell yourself this is just how it is, you carve that belief deeper into your neural pathways. But the reverse is also true. Every time you choose awareness over avoidance, every time you stretch slightly beyond your comfort zone, every time you emotionally rehearse a new identity, you begin laying new wiring. High-income earners do not think less fearfully. They have trained their brains to respond differently to fear. They feel it and move anyway. Over time, fear loses its power, not because it disappears, but because the brain learns it is not fatal. One of the biggest breakthroughs comes when you stop asking, how do I make more money? And start asking, who do I need to become so making more money feels natural? Because strategy without identity alignment leads to burnout. Identity alignment without strategy eventually attracts the right strategy. Your brain learns through repetition and emotion. That means small, consistent changes done with emotional engagement are far more powerful than massive efforts done inconsistently. This is why overnight success is rare and often temporary. While gradual inner change leads to sustainable income growth, there's a reason why visualization, when done correctly, is so powerful. It's not because the universe magically delivers, it's because your brain does not fully distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. When you emotionally experience yourself acting confidently, earning more, managing success calmly, your brain begins to treat that identity as familiar. Familiarity reduces fear. Reduced fear leads to action. Action leads to results. Results reinforce belief, and belief reshapes identity. This is the loop that changes income from the inside out. But here's where most people quit. They try this for a few days, maybe a week, And when nothing changes immediately, they assume it doesn't work. But remember, your current wiring took years to form. It will not dissolve in days. Consistency is not about effort. It's about patience with the process. Every time you choose growth of our comfort, you are voting for a new, future version of yourself. Every time you pause, breathe, and act despite discomfort, you are teaching your brain a new definition of safety. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become more of who you already are, without fear running the show. Your potential has never been the problem. Conditioning has. And the most beautiful part is this. The moment your brain starts to change, your perception changes. You notice ideas you ignored. You hear opportunities differently. You feel more capable, not because the world became easier, but because your internal resistance softened. This is the quiet power of inner work. It doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself through results. So as you listen to this, don't ask yourself if change is possible. Ask yourself if you are willing to become unfamiliar long enough for a new normal to form. Because that willingness is the doorway to a different income level. Once you understand that your brain is shaping your income, the next question becomes deeply personal. If my brain has been protecting me by keeping me where I am, how do I gently, safely teach it to allow more, not force more, allow more? The answer lies in how identity is formed and reinforced. Your identity is not who you say you are. It's who you repeatedly act as, especially when no one is watching. Your brain watches your behavior constantly and asks, is this who we are? Then it adjusts your self-image accordingly. If you say, you want financial growth but consistently avoid decisions, conversations, or risks that align with that growth, your brain concludes that safety matters more than expansion. Over time, that conclusion becomes a belief, and beliefs quietly dictate income. Here's something most people never realize. Your brain does not respond to goals, it responds to evidence. Evidence is created by action, even small actions, especially small actions. When you take a step that aligns with a higher version of yourself, your brain registers proof. Proof changes identity. Identity changes behavior. Behavior changes results. This is why transformation is never about one big breakthrough. It's about accumulating tiny moments of courage that slowly rewrite who you believe you are. There is a story of someone who feared asking for higher pay. Not because they didn't deserve it, but because rejection felt like danger. Their brain associated rejection with pain from earlier life experiences, so they stayed silent, year after year. Until one day, they asked anyway. Their voice shook, their heart raced, but they survived. That survival was the breakthrough, not the raise. The brain learned that speaking up was not fatal. From that moment on, everything changed. Your nervous system must experience safety after discomfort to rewire. That's why pushing too hard backfires. Sustainable income growth comes from stretching just enough that your brain can adapt without shutting down. This is why environment matters so much. Your brain mirrors what it sees around you. If you surround yourself with people who normalize struggle, your brain accepts struggle as normal. If you surround yourself with people who normalize growth, your brain begins to expect it. This doesn't mean abandoning your roots or judging anyone. It means being intentional about what you repeatedly expose your mind to. Conversations, content, expectations, and standards all shape neural patterns. High earners think in terms of value, not effort. They ask, how can I solve bigger problems? How can I serve at a higher level? Their brains have been conditioned to associate income with contribution, not sacrifice. That conditioning didn't happen by accident. It was built through experience, mentorship, and self-reflection. You begin to shift your income when you stop measuring your worth by how hard you work and start measuring it by the value you create. This single shift rewires motivation, confidence, and decision-making. There will be moments when your old identity tries to pull you back. Moments when you think, who am I to want more? Who am I to charge more? Who am I to expect better? That voice is not truth. It's memory. It's the echo of old programming trying to maintain control. Instead of fighting it, acknowledge it. Thank it for trying to protect you. And then choose differently anyway. That choice, repeated, is how the brain updates its operating system. Another powerful shift happens when you redefine fail. For most people, failure feels like confirmation of inadequacy. For high performers, failure is data, information, feedback. Their brains are wired to extract lessons, not shame. When you teach your brain that mistakes do not threaten your identity, experimentation becomes easier. And experimentation is where breakthroughs live. Your income is not limited by your intelligence. It is limited by how safe your brain feels exploring new behaviors. The more safety you build internally, the more expansive your actions become. This is why self-talk matters so deeply. Not the loud, forced positivity, but the quiet interpretation of events. When something doesn't work, do you tell yourself you're not good enough, or do you tell yourself you're learning? The brain believes whatever explanation you repeat most often. Over time, you start noticing a shift. Decisions feel clearer, confidence feels steadier. Money stops feeling like an emotional trigger and starts feeling like a tool. That emotional neutrality is a sign of rewiring. You don't wake up one day as a different person. You wake up one day realizing you've been responding differently for a while, and that's when income begins to rise in a way that feels grounded, not chaotic. You were never meant to live at the edge of survival forever. You were meant to grow, and growth begins the moment your brain believes it is safe to do so. By the time you reach this point in your journey, something subtle but powerful has already begun. And to change. You may not see it clearly yet, but you can feel it. A quiet shift in how you listen to yourself, a softening in how you react to fear, a growing sense that maybe, just maybe, more is possible without everything falling apart. This is where integration happens, because understanding alone does not change a life. Embodiment does. Your brain changes most effectively when new beliefs are lived, not just learned. When your daily actions start matching a higher internal standard, your nervous system recalibrates. This is when income growth becomes sustainable instead of stressful. One of the most important realizations at this stage is that money amplifies who you already are. If you believe you are capable, resourceful, and adaptable, more money amplifies confidence and generosity. If you believe you are not enough, more money amplifies anxiety and fear. This is why inner work must come first. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your self-image. And your self-image is shaped by the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're allowed to have. Most people live inside invisible financial ceilings they never consciously chose. They inherited them from family expectations, from cultural conditioning, from past failures that were misinterpreted as personal limits. But ceilings only exist as long as you believe they are real. The moment you start acting like someone who expects growth, life responds differently. Not magically, logically. Because your brain begins filtering reality through a new lens. You notice opportunities faster. You communicate with more clarity. You tolerate uncertainty with greater calm. And those traits are rewarded in every income-generating environment. At higher levels of income, emotional regulation becomes more important than effort. The ability to stay grounded under pressure, to make decisions without panic, to delay gratification without resentment. These are brain-based skills, not personality traits. And they can be trained. This is why rest, reflection, and awareness are not luxuries. They are income skills. A regulated brain makes better decisions. A calm nervous system sees options a stressed one cannot. There will be moments when you outgrow old versions of yourself, old habits, old conversations, old environments. That can feel lonely, but it is not loss. It is alignment. You are not becoming less connected. You are becoming more honest. As your income grows, your responsibility to your inner state grows as well. Not to control everything, but to remain conscious, because unconscious patterns always resurface under pressure. The most powerful people are not those without fear. They are those whose brains no longer let fear decide. They feel it, they respect it, and then they choose according to their vision instead of their history. This is the real meaning of changing your brain to change your income. It's not about becoming obsessed with money. It's about coming free from the emotional patterns that keep you small. It's about earning from a place of alignment rather than survival. At some point, you realize that income is not the reward. It is the byproduct of clarity, of courage, of identity expansion, of a brain that finally understands that growth is not danger, it is destiny. You were never meant to struggle endlessly to prove your worth. Your worth was never in question. Only your conditioning was. And as you continue this journey, remember this deeply human truth. Every time you choose awareness over avoidance, growth over comfort, intention over impulse, you are changing your brain. And every time your brain changes, your income has no choice but to follow, respected. As you sit with these words, understand this. Change is not something that happens to you. Change is something you allow yourself to create, moment by moment, thought by thought, choice by choice. Your brain is not your enemy. It is your most loyal ally. It wants to protect you, but it also wants to follow your lead. The moment you take conscious command, the moment you decide to step beyond old limits with curiosity instead of fear, everything shifts. You are not defined by your past income. You are not limited by yesterday's beliefs. You are defined by the version of yourself that shows up today, ready to act differently, think differently, and feel differently about what is possible. Every decision you make that aligns with that version becomes evidence for your brain that you deserve more, can handle more, and are capable of more. Imagine for a moment the life that is waiting for you, the income that reflects your true value, the freedom to create, the ability to contribute without fear, the confidence that grows from the inside out. That life is not a dream, it is a logical consequence of a rewired mind, a mind that understands that growth is safe, abundance is possible, and your potential is limitless. Take this as your invitation and your responsibility. Begin with awareness. Move with intention. Rewire one thought, one belief, one habit at a time. Treat every challenge as an opportunity for your brain to learn, adapt, and expand. Celebrate every small victory. And when fear whispers that you are not ready, remind yourself that readiness comes through action, not certainty. Your income, your opportunities, your future, they are mirrors of your inner world. Change your brain and you change everything it reflects. Step into that power. Step into that possibility. Step into the life that is waiting just beyond the ceiling your old beliefs created. And as you step forward, remember this: the person you are becoming is more capable, more courageous, and more abundant than the person you were yesterday. Your brain has the power to shape your destiny, and your destiny is ready for you. Now go consciously, courageously, and consistently, and let your income rise to match the value you already carry within.